Hi, hello, and welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. My name is Andy, sometimes Mouse. I talk about books and book-related things, and today I will be talking about the Uglies Quartet by Scott Westerfeld. Now, I will give my same fair warning that I always give. If you hear whistling, barking, pitter-patter of feet, someone eating or drinking water, I live in a zoo, I have no control over the sounds that they make, and I'm sorry. Also, for the fan background, still warm in Texas. It is currently 75 degrees outside, so I do have to have my fan on because it gets warm upstairs. So, sorry in advance. Sorry for Picasso announcing that someone's leaving. Alright, let's talk about Uglies by Scott Westerfeld. Now, interesting timing, Netflix just announced that they will be doing a TV show for this series. As of right now, it is November. This video won't come out until January, but that's where we're at. I really enjoyed this reread for the most part. I have some very heavy criticisms of the way that some things were handled, but the first book started in an incredible way. And I think that Scott Westerfeld does a really good job of writing dystopian YA that brings in interesting conversations around the way that we judge people on appearances and social media and that kind of thing. The general concept of Uglies, the series, is that once you turn 16, you're ugly up until you turn 16. Once you turn 16, you get to have surgery to become pretty. And once you become a pretty, you move into this other part of the society and you just get to party and be bubble-headed and all day and live your best life and ignorance is bliss and have everything that you ever wanted taken care of for you. You don't have to worry about anything. And then when you get a little bit older, you might get picked for being a government official and then you're a little bit less like bubble-headed, but you know, you might not. And then you just get to like continue to be an adult and like live your best life. The older I get, like when I was younger, I was like, this is dumb. I would never want to be that dumb. The older I get, the more I'm like, oh, sir, you will make me bubble-headed and I don't have to have responsibilities? I will give up my free will. Here, take it. Just take it. I don't want it. You'll take care of it, my health forever? I won't have health issues? Just take it. Which is an interesting change because when I was a teenager, I really loved dystopian books. 1. And 2, I was like, no, we won't let the government control us and that's terrible or whatever. Oh, spoiler alert, when they have the surgery to become pretty, they do something to their brains so that they literally make them bubble-headed. Like, it's not just because they're having a good time, it's because they do something to their brains. Again, the older I get, the more I'm like, I don't have any complaints. Our first 3 books focus on Tally Youngblood and her group. Her best friend and what would be considered her love interest actually becomes a pretty before she does, and she has always like taken the hovercraft and kind of done these little rebellious things, but not majorly rebellious things. And on one of those trips, she meets a new girl, Shay, and Shay tells her about David and these people who just kind of decided not to have the pretty surgery and people who escaped into the wilderness basically and wanted to be ugly forever. Of course, Tally at first is like, I don't understand why you would do that. That's nuts. Why would you make that choice? We have everything we need here. I don't get it. But then as she discovers like, oh, actually the government's giving us mind control and that's not very cool and I don't really like that and what on earth is happening? As she learns about all of that and she learns about the history that they essentially kept hidden from her, so she gets to look at magazines and that kind of thing from our era that she would not normally have been able to see. And they talk about like how there's a healthy limit between like overindulging and undereating with eating disorders and that kind of thing, and so there's just like this standard body size and this standard appearance and whatever, and so there aren't any like models or anything like that because there doesn't need to be. Pretties already exist, and Pretties is this like set, I want to say Eurocentric beauty standard that everyone has, but they get to have like tattoos and like change their hair up and stuff in this a little bit more extreme, think Hunger Games-esque outfits, but it's still within these very like specific guidelines of what's considered pretty. I can't see pictures in my head, so that Eurocentric thing, that's just my assumption. I don't know what the characters really were supposed to look like, so because I can't see them in my head. Anyway, I think that the conversation of having one set standard, one set beauty standard, being a little bit absurd because there is something unique and palatable and enjoyable about seeing people presented in so many different ways with skin tones and body shapes and eye colors and hair colors and what might be pretty to one person is not necessarily pretty to everyone else, and so why would that be, like, why would there be a set Eurocentric beauty standard, that kind of thing. Oh, because it's what's societally acceptable and it keeps people from having wars and stuff. If we just keep them empty-headed, then they're not upset about things that they may or may not have. Which I don't agree with the beauty standard part, but the keep people empty-headed and then they're not upset. Yeah, I mean, that logically that checks out to me. And if nobody is fighting over who's, you know, pretty people have power or pretty privilege, there is none of that, but there also is, obviously, because there's the pretties and then there's the uglies. But the pretty privilege is everybody has pretty privilege, right? Everybody after the age of 16 is given the opportunity to have pretty privilege. And so I think the goal was to eliminate pretty privilege by inherently creating pretty privilege for everyone else. A very weird, like, equality with appearances. I don't know if what I'm saying makes sense. I appreciated a look into that conversation. I think that the first book did a fantastic job of having that conversation. Tally obviously wants to lead this rebellion to not become a pretty. Maybe. Maybe not. Who knows? But when Tally gets back to society and does become a pretty, she do be empty-headed, right? But she, like, slowly starts to remember things and slowly starts to figure out ways to not be so empty-headed and focus on that kind of thing. That's where the book gets a little bit funky for me, because a lot of her goals are based in romance. It feels like a lot of her goals are based in romance, which I just personally don't love in a dystopian. I think that if their goals are based more in the greater good or even in their own selfish needs outside of romance, I think that it works better in dystopians, because, like, I just don't think people would be focusing on love at times like that. You know, maybe I'm wrong. Then we have specials, uglies, pretties, and then specials. And specials is when Tally finds out about, like, this secret services, basically the specials department from this society where they take care of special assignments and they're not as bubble-headed as everybody else. And Tally becomes a part of this because the government kind of respects her ability to do all of the things that she's done. However, she finds this other government conspiracy that she doesn't agree with and starts to uncover all of it. And this is all supposed to be happening within the span of like a year, maybe 2 years. It's very quick, all 3 books. And she manages her goals. She does succeed. But the way that it happens, like, the, like, gotchas that the government gets old. It's the same thing over and over again. And they're like, haha, we made you dumb again. What now? What will you do now? And I struggled with that. I also struggled a little bit with the way that they were able to get themselves not bubble-headed was to, like, without having this implant happen, this medication happen to them or whatever, was essentially to starve themselves, to hone in focus. And as someone who's recovered from an eating disorder, yes, I will say that not eating does make you more focused, but it over time makes you less focused. It's not a good thing. You shouldn't be doing it. And it felt weird to have that as like a benefit in a young adult book. I know that's nitpicky. I understand that that's nitpicky, but it left a bad taste in my mouth, especially after the conversation around people with eating disorders. And that conversation continues to come up, where the people in the hospital are like, oh no, Tally, you and what's-his-face have to eat more. We don't want you to become like the people from before. Like, that's a conversation that comes up regularly, and so I'm just like, why did we let them keep doing it? So I didn't really love that. I didn't love that there was a lot of romance focus, and by the time we got to the, oh, we've abolished pretties, it doesn't exist anymore, I just was like less invested. I just didn't care as much. And that sucks because I really, really enjoyed the first book. The second book I was like, alright. And the finale I was like, that's it? Okay. And then Extras, which is considered the 4th book in the series, but it's more of a companion novel to the series because it happens several years later, maybe 3 or 4 years later, and we focus on a completely different character, and it follows Aya. Now, there's this like strange focus on Asian culture. I don't know Scott Westerfeld's ethnicity. 3 years after, there's no more pretties. A lot of people have had the surgery. reversed so that their brains function again. Some people have chosen not to because they didn't want to. Some people had it reversed and they hate it because they would like to be empty-headed again and not have to think about things. Relatable. But there's now a social media points system, essentially, and you get better things if you're more popular. And it feels like what was the point of the entire trilogy if you're just gonna flip it and reverse it and be like, okay, now everyone doesn't have to be pretty, but everyone does have to be palatable and popular. What? And then Tally is still a character in the book. She just shows up later on with another rebellion, Chalk. And feels like a completely different character, which is weird. It's like they tried to age her up more than she actually was aged up. And she's also weirdly very selfish and annoying. She feels more like Shay from the first 3 books than Tally. And I didn't get it. I didn't enjoy it. And there's this like group of girls who like do things and they're top secret and they don't want to be on the popularity scale and like that's their rebellion or whatever, and they mostly just feel like pretentious bullies, like people who intentionally on the internet are like, I don't want to wear makeup because I'm not like other girls. Like it was pick me energy. It was huge pick me energy. Like you can lead a rebellion without being a bitch about everyone else's stuff. You can actually, like, you can say fuck the patriarchy and still wear makeup. I know that's crazy. But it kind of felt like things got more shallow as the books progressed, and Extras was just a fantastic reflection of how shallow they got. Like, we kind of missed the mark on the way that society views others and social media and that kind of thing. Like, or maybe we didn't. Maybe the whole entire goal was to be like, just kidding, even though we thought we got rid of any of these beauty standards, we still rank others above everyone else based on their palatability to one another. Like, maybe that was the goal. I don't know. But I didn't like it. There also, I don't remember which book it's in, but there's a conversation around savages, and they're people that the government is essentially like kind of studying and has left alone this whole time, and they think that Tally is a god. That whole thing was weird. The languaging was off and felt inappropriate. It felt inappropriate. I did not like it. Yeah, it was suspect to me. I know that these books were written between like 2006 and 2009. No, that's Gossip Girl. Oh, just kidding. This one, Extras came out in 2007, so like early 2000s. I know that, and so I know that some of our languaging around what would be appropriate has changed. And the expectations are different, but now reading them now, it's just like, I think that Scott Westerfeld would also do better now. I think that if given the opportunity, he would rewrite them and do better now. I know that things have shifted and changed as time moves on, and I try to base my opinions and rankings with that in mind. I just want to be clear that I do understand that this came out at a different time. I recognize that some of the things that were considered appropriate or inappropriate have definitely changed, so there's that. I am excited to see what Netflix does with this, especially because it is such an older set of books, but I feel like it's such a young adult dystopian classic that has been pretty untouched, and it shouldn't have been. Like, we got TV shows for stupid, horrible books, Vampire Diaries and Vampire Academy, Maximum Ride, got a movie for that. We got content for these things, and they didn't deserve them. So, you know, I'm really intrigued to see how Netflix does the Uglies thing. I don't know if there's even a trailer out. I think they might still be casting, but I'm hoping that it goes through and then I get to watch it and then I get to yell about it, because I really did like these books a lot as a kid, as a high schooler, middle schooler. I think I was in middle school. And I think that they really made me at that age look at society and beauty standards in a different way. Did it maybe make me more of a pick-me growing up? Yes, but so did reading books. So I don't know what to tell you, but yeah, I think there's a fine line balance between disregarding beauty standards and being yourself, and also judging others who choose not to do those things and being a pick-me inherently. I don't know, maybe there's not a difference, and I'm just looking into it a little bit too hard, but we'll see. That's Uglies by Scott Westerfeld. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you didn't, let me know how I can do better. If you did, or you've read this series, or you're excited about the Netflix series, let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe and share. Always helps me out. I know that that's an annoying reminder, but I have to say it every time. Also, make sure that you're still subscribed, because I've noticed that some people have let me know that either they got unsubscribed or YouTube turned their notifications off. So check those things. I will see you guys again on Thursday at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time for vlogs, and then again on Tuesday at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time every single week. Don't forget to take care of yourselves, drink some water, do something today to take care of yourself, okay? See you guys next time. Okay, thanks, bye.